not a doctor, I'm not a therapist, I'm just a 22-year-old who has gone through a lot of rough times. So if I can make someone feel better from this video, or if I can make them a little bit more informed about, you know, anxiety and depression, I will know that this video was worthwhile. I guess I'm kind of excited but both really nervous to be making this video. It's a more personal video, so let's make the best of it. Hello, it's V, and if you are familiar with my channel, then you know that I do hair and makeup beauty reviews and tutorials. But after I did my last video, which was about Tinder, I got some feedback from some of you on Instagram, and I heard that you liked my video about Tinder. It's important for me to take your feedback and also to just switch things up sometimes. Although some of you might be wondering, why did I pick anxiety as a topic? And the reason behind that is because if there's anything that I feel very strongly towards and I feel comfortable talking about, it's mental health and not letting it be pushed into a corner and just completely forgotten. Because at the end of the day, how many people do you know right off the bat who suffer from depression, anxiety, OCD? I can tell you right now, I know at least 10 people, and not just any kind of person, you know, my friends who have experienced some kind of mental illness sometime in their life, or are even still struggling through it right now. Whether you are a friend of mine, you are an acquaintance, you are a stranger, you just follow my social media, this video is for you, whether you have anxiety or not. Why? 1 in 5 Canadians will experience some kind of mental health problem in their lifetime. That is a lot of people. I am one of those people. In grade 5, I was told by some of my teachers that I used to sit alone during recess when I was a kid. I never understood why. Now I do. So first of all, what is anxiety? At a young age, I always felt like there was something growing inside of me that made me believe that I wasn't wanted by any of the kids in my class, that I was a bother to them if I tried to play with them during recess. Anxiety is not logical or rational. It causes people to worry about something despite there being no evidence that they should be worrying about that at all. So was I a burden to play Foursquare with as a kid? Probably not. I mean, I can't really vouch for you guys who played Foursquare with me when I was a kid. For some people, this thought isn't constant and it comes in waves. There are highs and there are lows. For me personally, I have days where everything just feels so much brighter. I don't have anything that's dragging me down, that's worrying me in my head. And then we have other days where, you know, if it's raining, if we felt like we got ignored by someone we care about, this thing just creeps up on us and it starts growing and growing just throughout the day. Sometimes just acknowledging that this is an irrational thought can make things better. Sometimes nothing really helps when you're having a really bad anxiety day, and you just have to be able to go through your day and live your life the best way that you can. Which leads to the main attraction of this video, which is dating and anxiety. I am a single 22-year-old, and meeting new people in the last year and a half has been quite the adventure. Anxiety will make us worry about things and make us question and make us think that we just aren't good enough. It's common for us to be thinking, what if they like someone else? What if my anxiety ruins the relationship? You have anxiety about your anxiety. What if they don't text me back? Or even us just being like, what if I'm always the one who's reaching out and it's bothering them? Honestly, for me, I've learned in the last little while that I prefer when someone is the first person to message me. What if I text them at 9 o'clock? Is that too early? Do I say good morning? Is that too forward? Do I just say a hi? Do I use a smiley? Do I use a sunshine? If a guy messages me first, I'm so happy. In the beginning, that's kind of the case, but eventually it does get to the point where I will reciprocate. In the initial stage of things, I feel so much more comfortable just knowing that someone actually wants to talk to me. In the beginning, when you're just starting to get to know someone and they don't really message you back, we think that we're gonna be ghosted. We are like, okay, nice knowing ya. Things may not have worked out because it was the other person. It may not have had anything to do with me. When you have anxiety, no matter the circumstance, you always bring it back to yourself. You can be involved with someone, but it's that in the initial stage of things, it's stressful. And the worst part is that the person on the other side of your phone doesn't even know what they're doing to you and what they're making you feel. If you don't tell them, they're just gonna keep doing this to you and they won't understand. And the scariest thing is opening up to someone and telling them that you have anxiety, that you have a mental illness when it is still a giant taboo thing to talk about. We're worried that you're gonna think that we're crazy. So if you're talking to someone who has anxiety, if you know someone who has anxiety, or you know what, you just wanna educate yourself for future preferences, here are some things that you can do to ease us a little bit and not make us worry so much. So I did go around and I asked some of my friends who have anxiety just some questions about their experiences. So this isn't all about what I feel, it's just about an overall consensus. One very important thing for you to do is to be patient. We know we have a problem. Sometimes when we're having a rough time, the best way to get the storm to clear is to wait it out. Sometimes just leaving me helps as well. Being understanding that sometimes we need our space. Sometimes we don't really want to talk about it. You could just be sitting in the same room as us. You don't have to be, you know, cuddling me or holding me or smothering me. You could just be gaming on the other TV and I could be drawing on the other couch, and that helps already. But then what if there is a problem and we do want to talk about it? So like many cases, you know, it doesn't just apply with anxiety and mental health. If there is a problem, the best way to do it is to talk about it in person. You can't really sense or convey tone over text message, and what I'm saying probably doesn't come across in the same way, you know, that they're interpreting it. They could be thinking that I'm coming across as aggressive, which is not at all what I'm trying to do. But then what if you can't meet up? What do you do? The best thing that you can do in that circumstance is to pick up the phone, have a phone call, you know, chat it out. At the end of the day, trying to solve a problem promptly and not stalling on it is just gonna help us so much more, because then we're not gonna let that problem that's already, you know, it's really small, but then if we don't fix it, it's just gonna keep growing and growing and growing into something that it did not need to turn into. So really just trying to fix problems sooner rather than later does us a giant solid. I think that's just a given in any relationship, but especially for us, we don't like things to spiral. People with anxiety just tend to overthink and think and think. So dragging on a problem, that does a lot of mental hurt to us. A little while ago, I was seeing someone and he ended up leaving for 2 months, so I couldn't see him at all. And during that time, there was a lot of miscommunication. I would ask him, hey, can I call you just so we can sort this through? And anytime I would try to call, he would just dismiss it. Things just never got cleared. It was always just a continuous problem. As you can imagine, things didn't really work out. I felt like he wasn't really able to approach problems and situations in a way that was really suitable towards my needs, especially that he knew that I had anxiety. It's really difficult to be with someone who isn't willing to try and understand your point of view and to try to make things work. Approaching a situation with, you know, aggression and being sarcastic towards it isn't gonna help, but that's especially true for people who have anxiety. It's like yelling at a 4-year-old who broke a cup and is now crying. They will only become more upset and more distraught if you approach the situation with hostility and in a negative tone. So when there's problems, it helps to be encouraging and just to be open-minded and more positive when we aren't able to do that for ourselves. Which leads to another thing. You know, I was in a relationship once and I told my partner that after a long time of suffering from depression and my anxiety, I was finally starting to break free and feel better. I told him this right before the winter time, and instead of being supportive and happy and just, you know, excited that I'm finally doing better, he told me this: "Are you sure that you are feeling better? Because it won't last long, because winter is coming and you're just going to be sad and depressed like you were last year." Don't do that. Don't put people down like that. Let me tell you right now, people who are going to put you down in that kind of way and who do not believe in your recovery, in your success, in your goals, and in your happiness do not deserve your time. They are toxic for you. Once I realized that I was in a toxic relationship, I went off and I did my own thing. I went on my own journey and I started to live a life where I wasn't being dragged down by the person that I loved. What do you think is the worst thing that you can say to someone who has anxiety? When people say to get over it or relax or it's nothing. What we often feel when our anxiety is at its peak is that we are a giant bother to people. It may not be true, but it's that this feeling feels so real. You often feel like you're acting crazy, but it's just a symptom. And he's honestly right. Blaming us, you know, it's gonna make us feel worse. We already think that we are a giant burden and that we are the source of all the problems in a situation, even though it's probably not the case. Another thing about dating is that people who give out mixed signals are literally the kryptonite of DC's Superman. I hope you get that reference. My biggest thing is the feeling of control in the face of uncertainty. I was dating a girl for a few months, and even though things were going well, I didn't feel secure in the relationship because she was very uncommittal and against labels. So while we were seeing each other exclusively and we were dating, my anxiety just got the best of me and I couldn't deal with it anymore. I can 100% agree with this, and it is completely relatable. People with anxiety need certainty. They need reassurance, because when we are putting ourselves out there to someone, it's terrifying for us. Anxious people just need answers, and people are unwilling to give them sometimes, which is really unfortunate. In the end, people with anxiety, we aren't looking for someone to fix us. We all have different ways to cope with our anxiety, and the worst thing we can possibly do is to rely on someone else to make us happy. I did that in my last relationship, and I ended up being stuck in this toxic environment that I couldn't bring myself to leave. We just want someone who understands us. An important thing to mention about anxiety and dating is that you don't have to have anxiety to empathize with it. I have had anxiety my entire life, and I have had partners that are very understanding of what that means, even though they don't experience it themselves. And it's just because they took the time to ask about it. Some people just don't know how to react to those kinds of situations, you know, people who have anxiety and what to do. And that doesn't mean that they are bad people. It just means they don't understand. The bottom line is that it's okay not to be okay. And it's also perfectly okay to go out and find yourself and be happy, whatever that means. And the most important thing is that if you are suffering from anxiety or depression, or if you're like me and you have both, hey, what's up? You are never alone. You can always remember that. You can always count on that thought. Whether you are a stranger, you are an acquaintance, you are a friend, I always want to help someone who has a mental illness. Back when things were bad for me, I didn't have anyone. No one should have to go through those dark times alone. Do not ever think that you are a bother. My Instagram DM is always available. It is open. And you can also email me at v.vogler@gmail.com, and I will honestly get back to you. If you have a question about mental illness, you know, specifically anxiety and depression, I am willing to answer anything out there. A big thank you to everyone who took the time to write to me about their experiences, and that opened up to me. That means so much, and I want to thank you so much for being able to make this video what it is and to contribute as well. And for all you guys who also voted on wanting to see this video, thank you so much. I would not have thought that you guys would want to see something this, you know, personal side of me. I don't know, I do hair and makeup reviews and tutorials. I hope you guys like this video. Please feel free to leave a like and to also subscribe for more of my videos. Also leave a comment below in the comment section. I really want to know what you guys think. Do you like these kinds of videos? What do you do when you have anxiety? What helps you? What do you think about mental illness? Is it still a big taboo? I can't wait to hear back from you guys, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!